All right, welcome everybody. Let's start with something very interesting as far as the show is concerned, which is that yesterday I was in Washington, D.C., and met with President Joe Biden. So let me tell you what this was all about. And I think there are some important takeaways here with regard to the next 4 years and so many things that we've all been talking about. So, first and foremost, what was the context of this meeting? I went for a meeting with administration officials from what's called the Office of Digital Engagement. Now, for folks who have been following prior White Houses, there has been no such thing in the past. And so, one of the things I've said that's been notable about the Biden White House is that such an office exists, a group of people specifically designed to be intermediaries between the administration and online creators like me as an alternative to the legacy corporate media being the only media apparatus that is even kept informed about what's going on at the White House or has access to the president. Now, I will give you the good and then the not so good. The fact that it was a group of 10 of us, myself included, were invited was a great thing because it means they understand the importance, particularly in the context of Kamala Harris recently having lost an election in which she did not engage with online media, I would argue, anywhere approximating what should have been done. It's a sign that they understand the importance. It's a sign that they want to build these relationships. And of course, a lot of you are probably saying, but David, they just lost and they've got a month to go. And of course, that's really the problem. And I would kind of explain it this way. I spoke very candidly with everybody about what the right is doing correctly, how they build community. You know, one of the things we've seen post-election is that everybody who has been in the kind of Trump media ecosystem, they're all part of a very clear community. They're hanging out by the pool at Mar-a-Lago. They're obviously going to have significant access to Trump and top administration officials once they are sworn in. Comparatively, I expressed, this was not to President Biden. We only had about 15 minutes with President Biden, all 10 of us. But we had 2 hours total, plus then a lunch for a smaller group of us. I expressed my frustrations. As you all know, this is not anything that I've not been public about before, where when we want to have Pete Buttigieg on, the Secretary of Transportation, or when we've asked for interviews with others, we are either ignored or put into a sort of scheduling black hole where you're asked, what questions will you be asking? To which I always say, I'm not going to tell you that. That's not how we do interviews. Can you do it at this one particular time 3 weeks from now? Sure. And then 3 days before, it's rescheduled. And then it's rescheduled again. And by the time we finally get to the interview, everybody's exhausted from the whole thing. They tell you you get 9 minutes, and it's not good for anybody. It doesn't build community. It doesn't give us an opportunity to actually build relationships with these people. Nobody's happy with the interview. It doesn't do well, and it just benefits nobody. It's just an exercise in frustration. Contrast that with Charlie Kirk texts Trump. Charlie Kirk texts whoever. Now, I'm not saying give me Biden's cell phone number, but the point is we are so far from the idea that we need to do community first and then let's figure out the details. They were extraordinarily receptive. And yet, the Harris campaign, which is a different entity, I think it's important. A lot of people may not know the president and vice president, separate staffs. They are not working in concert the way some might imagine. They're not a unit in the sense they really have their own things. And the Harris campaign completely failed on this. And I was extremely clear and candid here as well. So there is certainly a bit of a too little, too late sort of reality here. And it was also very interesting to hear Joe Biden clearly know about what we're doing, understand and talk about the platforms, realize why it is that it makes sense to engage with us. And listen, I know it's sort of like, oh, great. 4 years from now, my hope would be that whoever is the nominee, particularly if it is someone younger, that will even more understand the sort of importance of these online platforms. Hopefully, they will from the beginning engage with us. Now, what was our ask? one of the great things I believe that came out of yesterday's meeting was making it clear that, hey, listen, you at the White House have done an increasingly better job of engaging with us over this last year of this presidency. What about the House and Senate? And this is another aspect, which is this is something that could be done right now. As I've told you before, and again, I don't think I'm violating any confidence by saying this thing. When we have a member of the House, we've occasionally had senators, it's mostly members of the House on the show. We work directly with that member's staff. There is no real coordination across shows, Midas Touch, Brian Tyler Cohen, et cetera. It's our team, right? Pat and John make contact and we try to schedule something. And it's always basically a nightmare with a few exceptions. Ro Khanna's team is really good at just like, yeah, let's get him on and he'll hop on his phone and get on. But for the most part, it's excruciating to really coordinate. We finally have made a little bit of contact with AOC now that she's following me and the show on Blue Sky. But for years, we've been trying to get AOC on. We usually don't hear anything back, or we hear, oh, like, yeah, check in a month or whatever. Bernie, same thing, etc. The ask we made was there should be a handoff from the Biden digital engagement team to a contact at the House and a contact at the Senate that can help really coordinate something similar to the Office of Digital Engagement at the White House, so that when Trump's in power and the deportations start and this, that, and the other thing, there is someone that can say, hey, let's bring the top 10, 15, 20 creators to the White House, meet with a bunch of members of the House and Senate, do interviews with everybody, set it up properly in a room that's properly lit with equipment, rather than doing this piecemeal thing where maybe we get Ron Wyden for 8 minutes and then Brian's got Bernie for 12 minutes. And it's completely uncoordinated in this way. And meanwhile, Trump's just got the ecosystem and he's got the Nelk boys and he's got Rogan and he's got Charlie Kirk and he's got the Fox News people and he's got the Newsmax people. It's just not going to work. So this was sort of like the outgoing request. And I think it's an important one. I don't know that it will happen. I will push for it to happen. But it was very clear that all of us as creators and even Biden's digital engagement staff, everybody recognized that we're just not doing it the right way. And the right is absolutely crushing us. So on the bonus show, we'll talk a little bit more about the kind of texture and some of the other things I did. I saw so many of our friends, Brittany Page and Jesse Dollimore, Luke Beasley, Adam Mockler, Dean Withers, Parker, the Mycelis brothers. All three of them were, I think, the three of them that are involved. I don't know if there's more. I think it's just the three. Ben, Brett, and Jordy. So many different people were there, and it was really great to catch up with everybody. And that's the other thing that was discussed, which is we all, White House aside, should be a community that's not so disjointed and where we are working together and trying to get some of these things going in a sort of coordinated and concerted way. So I think in a very negative environment where we just got crushed, and we know some of the reasons that we got crushed, and we know some of the areas where things need to be fixed, if there's anything to feel optimistic about, it's that everybody I spoke to yesterday is obviously demoralized by the results, but as independent media people, we have specific things in mind where we say, if we can accomplish these 5 things between now and the midterms, no matter what happens, we will be better off from a media ecosystem. We don't control policy for the Democratic Party. We don't control campaigns. But what we do control is the media ecosystem that we are a part of. How well functioning is it? How coordinated is it? There's a clear desire to do it. And I'm optimistic about that. I'll say more today on the bonus show.
I think one of the most interesting recent developments in medicine is our new understanding of how metabolism impacts aspects of our health. And that's why I love our sponsor, Lumen. Lumen's the world's first handheld metabolic coach. Quite simply, it's just a device that measures your metabolism through your breath. And on the app, it'll tell you if you're burning fat or carbs. And on that basis, it'll give you tailored guidance with the goal of improving nutrition, workouts, sleep, even stress management. All you have to do is breathe into your Lumen first thing in the morning. You'll know what's going on with your metabolism, whether you're burning mostly fats or carbs. And then Lumen will give you a personalized nutrition plan for the day that's based on those particular measurements. Now, you can also breathe into it before or after workouts and meals, which gives you other sets of actionable insights. Your metabolism is like your body's engine. It's how your body turns food into fuel, and it keeps you going and feeling good. And Lumen will give you a better understanding of that. Go to lumen.me/Pakman to get 15% off your Lumen. The link is in the description.